Welcome to the F1 Esports Series Pro Championship 2022. It is the final race of event number 3. The vibes are immaculate from the 4 people in the studio. Tom Deacon, boom.
Yeah.
Eddie Gullis, boom. Almost fell over the table. Welcome to the qualifying show, everybody. Final one of the week. Event 3 almost done. We haven't got much to talk about from yesterday, do we, Hayden Gullis?
It's been a quiet week, I think. Nothing too much has gone on for event 3.
No controversy, no drama.
No controversy.
Nothing.
Nothing I can think of.
I scrolled through Twitter, couldn't find anything. Everyone was a bit of a dull race, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a shame. It's a real shame. But, hey, listen, COTA today, things might pick up.
Hopefully people's sarcasm meters are on.
Yeah.
Otherwise they would have not realised that. But, wow, my goodness me, yesterday was quite crazy, wasn't it, Hayden? I was not expecting that from the commentary booth. Were you expecting it from the desk over there with Tom Deacon?
I think the 3 of us over there yesterday were just as shocked as you guys were. I mean, there was some great racing going on, and then it's all just overshadowed by what went on between a certain Red Bull driver and a certain Haas driver.
Yeah, and there was also some suspect decision-making. You know I'm a massive fan of Williams and Daniele Haddad, and I think it was questionable, and there's a lot of talking points, but take nothing away from Jarno. Back to the form we expect.
Segue, here we go. Let's talk about Jarno Opmeer then, shall we? That's the first and biggest moment in terms of the comeback. Well, it started in Monza, which was a bit of a struggle is an understatement to say how bad that particular race went. Qualifying was terrible, the race was not much better, but then you fast forward to Mexico and Opmeer was back.
Yeah, I mean, he's been dropping off all season, and Italy was the lowest of the low for him so far. But the resurgence in Mexico, helped out massively by virtual safety car Daniele Haddad. And 3.4 second win is massive in F1 Esports, and it's exactly what he needs if he can carry this momentum on. Who knows? Maybe it's a 5-way fight for the championship.
Yeah. Are you going to stand for that, by the way? Him calling one of your drivers from Williams a virtual safety car?
Listen, he can say what he wants. It's all talk. Williams, we're fighting back. I say we are fighting back. 4 points currently, but what is 4 points when you could get a maximum today at COTA?
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. No, but it is good to see with Jarno, only 1 podium before that. So, hey, there's still plenty of points up for grabs. So, could it go down to the wire? Maybe there could be 5 drivers going for this driver championship.
So, Opmeer, of course, back. Let's now talk about Ronhaar and his run through the field. First and foremost in Monza. Had an amazing race and it went down to the wire against Barry Buremund in the McLaren shadow. And you thought for one moment Barry Buremund may well have been able to hold on despite having 3-lap older hard tyres, but didn't manage it. It was a perfectly executed move from Ronhaar and no wheel banging whatsoever.
Ronhaar showing us perfectly just what happens if you get pushed off track earlier on. What you do, you go and get the overtake, you overtake Buremund back, and look at him, he's getting used to winning. And then, of course, what we're all talking about, Ronhaar versus Rasmussen. A great move here, down in towards turn 4 and 5. Freddie coming back, and then it's a 3-way fight, but a beautiful switcheroo through the double hairpin, gets them both back up into P3.
Tick that off your bingo card. Switcheroo has been said on the programme already. That was 3 laps prior, and you're wondering, is Freddie Rasmussen getting a little bit, let's say, frustrated with that? Because there was a bit of wheel banging between Ronhaar and Rasmussen, but you could probably argue they were giving as good as they get to the pair of them, and you look like you've got a point you want to say there, Tom.
No,
you had a little face.
I am sat very much on this sofa, which is technically, imagine it like being a fence. Freddie Rasmussen is ice cold, and he just has nerves of steel, and he showed that he was very professional in the next couple of laps.
OK, well, let's move on to that clip, shall we, and really reflect on what went down. Lap 32, one of the most controversial moments in F1 Esports history, and it's Rasmussen losing his cool. You've got the onboard here. I have spent a lot of time watching this over and over again, trying to give some sort of benefit of the doubt. Surely Freddie Rasmussen, a veteran of this series, is not going to do what it looks like he's done. But Hayden Gullis, is there anything we can say to defend the Red Bull driver?
Look, it's a corner where the only time you're ever going to be able to go for an overtake there is if you're already put yourself side by side through turn 4. To be behind into turn 5, to then just send it, it's unheard of. And this has been building up through the season. We saw it in Bahrain, Rasmussen versus Ronhaar. We saw it again in Spielberg when they were fighting for the win. And now again, they've come together, and fair play to Ronhaar keeping his cool after that. But for Freddie, Red Bull were in a perfect position to gain points in the Constructors' Championship. They've thrown it all away.
I don't see anything wrong with it. Thomas was in the wrong place. He shouldn't have been there. Wrong time, wrong place.
I wouldn't say that, mate. The internet do not find jokes funny.
No, they don't. It's interesting. Did he break going into that corner?
No.
Okay.
Telemetry says no.
Okay. Then I would like to hear from Freddie. When are we going to get a statement of saying this is what happened? Because at the moment we're looking at that from the footage alone. You could make a very, very strong argument that he's lost his head there. He hasn't kept ice cold and in the moment. Otherwise, but we haven't heard anything from Freddie. Surely we're going to hear from him, right?
No, I don't think so. But we are going to take a look at a side-by-side from lap 29 and lap 32, try and dissect this a little bit more as to where could Freddie Rasmussen potentially have got a little bit concerned or a little bit frustrated with the wheel-to-wheel racing between himself and Ronhaar. Yeah, there's a bit of contact there, but Ronhaar, does he deserve room at that point in the corner, would you say, Hayden?
You're on the outside. Freddie's got to the apex first, so you could say that it is Freddie's corner. But there's enough space there for Ronhaar to stay on the edge. Then you go into turn 5, and Ronhaar, I'd say he's also left Freddie enough room around the outside. Then Freddie decides to bail out of it on the outside. So I don't understand where the frustration has come from in that particular moment. And then we see it in turn 4 and 5 a few laps later, and he's just not even broke, straight across the corner. And it's not like he's even tried to attempt, oh no, I've made a mistake, I'm going to try and hold on here. He's pushed him further to the wall as much as he can, so we're watching it again.
Yeah, we're taking a look at it again. Lap 32, of course, is the incident in question. And, I mean, this corner, there is never, ever a move on here in any world. The fact that these drivers are aliens. There's no misjudgment at that low speed. He's known exactly what he's doing there, and...
but at the same time, and I'm not defending Freddie in this situation, I'm saying you look at him side by side, I reckon he's expecting to have, for Thomas to have gone out wide again, like he did in that previous 29th lap. It didn't happen, and that's why he's surely been...
He's never out breaking him into there. It's never...
I'm not trying to defend him.
He just did.
I'm just saying, what I'm trying to do is to understand what on earth went through his head, which is we all do, is we're trying to think, Freddie, what were you thinking?
Oh, that's what we all want to know.
And this is it. So we're speculating. I'm watching that, as everyone is, going, I don't understand, I need answers. And we're not going to get them. That's the problem. We'll watch it again. You can watch it 30, 40 times. You're going, what is going through Freddie's head right now? And any F1 Esports Series Pro Championship driver, what you should and shouldn't do in this moment.
The only thing I can think of is because he's got so many penalties from the corner cutting incidents that he's trying to force Ronhaar out wide to allow Josh Ido and Marcel Kiefer, his teammate behind, to get involved. But they're not close enough for that to happen. And at this stage, it's just... And there's no real... Look, he's turning left at that point as well. And it's not like, oh, I'm going to try to, leave you room. It's right up against the barrier. And how Ronhaar is still in this race and was able to finish on the podium is incredible.
I do want to rewind that, if we can, just replay that lap 32 one again. Because if you can see on the right-hand side, there is not 1 ounce of brake applied at any point during that incident. So if we go forward from here, watch Freddie Rasmussen, obviously on the right-hand side. You have the little telemetry just to the right of where the gear selection is. And you can see he applies the throttle. Do you see any red line going into hit? No, more application of throttle before then coming off of it completely. No brake at any point in that entire incident. So that, for me, is him clouded in rage for whatever reason. Maybe he's picked up penalties, doesn't think he's going to get those corner-cutting penalties off. He's had these moments with Ronhaar, not just here, but in Bahrain, of course, had it in Austria as well, where he felt hard done by being slightly pushed onto the exit curb on the final lap of the race. But I don't understand why it's happened 3 laps later at a corner that it's never on. It's just going to look bad for you.
Yeah, as been the host for the last 5 years of this incredible sport that I love being in this. I don't want to believe that in any way that rage has got to Freddie, because then it starts.
How do you defend him? How do you defend him in this?
I'm not, Matt. I started with jokes. You said don't do that. So then I'm kind of feeling at this position. I'm like, well, I don't want this to start the precedent of the F1 Esports, and there must be a penalty going towards Freddie Rasmussen.
You teed that up perfectly, because the penalty that they've given is a 10-place grid penalty for today's race. Now, I think that's very lenient. I was fully expecting Liam Parnell to be racing today, if I'm being completely honest with you, because how I view it, it was an intentional an attempt to take out another competitor. It's not an overtake. It was never on. But no Parnell. We've got Freddie Rasmussen back in once again. 10-place grid penalty. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's on the lenient side as well. If you're purposely trying to take out another competitor, you want to come down on that as hard as possible to say, this cannot happen ever again. Yeah. So if you give a race ban, no one's going to do it again. One thing he has got as well is 7 points on his licence.
10.
Puts him to 10 now.
Yeah.
So he is 2 away from getting a race ban. So he does have to be on his best behaviour from now on.
And they don't reset for another year. So that's a lot of time to not crash into your opponents. Let's take a look at the driver's standings now, shall we? And look ahead to what we have today around the amazing Circuit of the Americas track. And Lucas Blakely still leads the Drivers' Championship. I bet he thought Christmas came early after yesterday, managing to extend his championship lead, which was something I don't think we expected to say at the latter stages of the Mexico City Grand Prix. But look how close it is. Burraman, Rasmussen, Ronhaar, all within one victory of Lucas Blakely. 4 races to go. And you can't be discounting Jarno Opmeer now after having such a brilliant performance yesterday, picking up a massive 25 points. And he's, 39 points behind Lucas Blakely. That is surmountable.
Yeah, he's in it massively. I mean, we've just seen it in the last race, how quickly it can change. And this is great to see, a 4-way fight with the potential for 5 as well. And I think a lot of people at home will be wanting Jarno Opmeer to come back. And you can't count him out. He's a 2-time world champion for a reason.
And if he sorted out his qualifying, Tom Deacon, can you count out Tom Deacon? Tom Deacon, Jarno Opmeer?
Never count out Tom Deacon. Thank you, Matt. You said it. Clip that up, guys. If we could clip that up,
you can't count out Tom Deacon. But the team's championship, quickly, we're taking a look at that here. McLaren very, very far ahead. In fact, I saw a video on Lucas Blakely's Instagram of Lando Norris DJing to the drivers. I think they may well be having an early
punishment
party.
Or a celebration.
He is still learning. He is still learning. But yeah, sorry, Tom, you were going to say.
No, at the beginning of this, when I said Jarno could be back and it's a 5-way race to see who is the drivers' champion. And yeah, because momentum, as we know, in the F1 Esports Series does build. Lucas not getting the results in the last 2 races, and he'll be thinking, hey, I dodged one there with Freddie not picking up any points. So yeah, pressure builds, and Jarno, if he can keep that momentum going, why would you write him off?
Why would you? Right, social media. Let's take a look at what Twitter said after yesterday. And, well, you would have thought something went on. Kira Megan, I feel I've missed some F1 Esports drama. And then Ben saying F1 Esports getting spicy. Of course, all reflecting on Daniele Haddad not pitting, isn't it? Nothing else. Hazel Southwell, F1 Esports truly is wild. And James Hunter, well, we definitely have a 4-way fight for the F1 Esports title with Opmeer having an outside chance. Opmeer needs another win today to get in the mix. Yes, he does, James. Completely agree with that one. And then finally, Arav, the F1 game OG. I've only just seen the drama that ensued at F1 Esports Mexico. Oh, my days. And Lucas says, what a banger of a race.
Yeah.
It certainly was. A lot of Jarno Opmeer fans, I'm sure, were very happy to see their GOAT do pretty well yesterday and get back in that championship hunt.
Yeah.
Do we fully expect the same today as we turn our attentions to COTA?
I definitely do. However, when someone says F1 Esports truly wild, we love it for the drama. But for the drivers that feel hard done by when the penalties are coming and they're not getting the points, the mental fatigue, the frustration that they're going through in their team HQs right now going into COTA today, I hope that penalties are served for because we don't want this to become the standard. It's not league racing, and I mean that with love and respect. It's not. This is the best of the best, the Pro Championship. We don't want to see any foul play.
And $750,000 on the line as well. And you have to say, when we look back at the Rasmussen-Ronhaar incident, that cost Ronhaar probably an easy P2 because he was on a charge on those mediums, was he not?
Yeah, definitely. I think he would have potentially had that battle like we saw in Italy between Barry and Ronhaar once again. Like, he's got the skill, he's got the capabilities to go head-to-head with Burraman and take that position. So, yeah, it could have cost them points. Very lucky It didn't look like he got any damage, but had there been damage to the car, it would have been massive.
Right, Twitch chat, get involved with your questions and your comments. I know you probably all are already via the Twitch chat, of course, or hashtag F1 Esports on Twitter. And this is the point where I now turn to Tom Deacon with his notepad. And you've done some notes.
I did it during rehearsal, which we do rehearse, as we've mentioned a few times. Not very much, just
not very
light
obvious, is
brush
it?
strokes. What are we going to talk about? I think it's going to be about Freddie Rasmussen. I will say this, you mentioned his name already, Barry Borromond, 4 back-to-back podiums for that young driver. He's been spectacular, if nothing else. Needs to get back to that Zandvoort win again. But yeah, 3 second-place finishes now for him. So he is in a rich vein of form. And that just goes to show why McLaren is so successful at the moment at the top of the team championship.
Good stuff, Tom Deacon. Let's take a look at the quali format and how it all stacks up ahead. If this is your first quali show, welcome. It's exactly the same as what you would have seen in COTA in real life and every other qualifying session in Formula 1. Q1, Q2, Q3. The 5 slowest, then the next 5 slowest get knocked out in Q2, and then it's a final top 10 shootout for pole. Freddie Rasmussen can only manage 11th on the grid if he gets pole position this afternoon. And then look at that, 2021 quali. Nicholas Longuet took pole by a massive 1,000th of a second ahead of Jarno Opmeer. If Opmeer manages to get another P3 on the grid, I think he'll be very happy with that, Hayden.
Yep, and looking at the practice results so far, we've got Opmeer, who is looking like he is fastest, but matched by Barry Borromond exactly the same time. Barry, though, did invalidate someone else who invalidated in their practice lap, who's gone even faster than that, is Nicholas Longuet with 31.3. So he could be the man to watch if he invalidates on purpose to sort of keep that lap time a little hush. But we have all the data here.
Or he straight-lined a corner and gained a lot of time. We don't know. But what we do know is it's going to be very close.
Yes. What is great about COTA is, if you remember the name Brendan Lee, a 2-time world champ, not necessarily in the Pro Championship, so therefore he's only a 1-time champ. Let's not delve into that right now. That was his last win, 2018 in COTA. Pole to win the race, and then Freddie, pole to win the race in 2019. So both of those will be looking to return to maybe some, winning race mentality.
4
Freddie?
years, Brendan Lee's not won a race.
When you think about it, you're just like,
insane.
You must have got it wrong. This notebook never lies.
Notebook never lies, and neither does this track guide. Let's take a look at the Circuit of the Americas and what the drivers have to face in qualifying this afternoon. Of course, we saw it recently in real-life Formula 1, and what a banger of a race we had around there between Hamilton and Verstappen. And this is one of my favourite tracks, Hayden. I feel like it's slightly underrated. You've got sections of the track which have been taken from other circuits, and you've got the S's, which is like from Silverstone. You've got turn 17 and 18, which feels like the old Turkey turn 8 that was. It's a great track.
It's a really fun track. I'm awful at it, but it's a really fun track. And it's sectioned up with lots of variations. So the first sector is fast flowing corners. The second sector is all about straight line speed, whereas sector 3, you've got a few more slow corners through there. So the setup of these cars is going to be very important. You might maybe have a car that's faster in a straight line so you can get overtakes done, but if you're struggling through the corners, it's going to really hurt you.
Right, let's take a look at the driver lineup, shall we? And how they look and stack up for this Circuit of the Americas event. And Alfa Romeo, Danny Beresne, you would have seen, actually, he did announce that yesterday, that he'd be racing, and he was not lying. There he is, once again. He's got a bit of form after Monza. You've got Sebastian Job alongside Yoni Tormler in the AlphaTauri, which means Ido is not racing, which some people may question, but that is clearly a setup that AlphaTauri have. Smith alongside Shipos. Biancalila. Simon, we've spoken about his 10 penalty points for a very long time.
Could happen. Could finally get a ban today. But for me, personally...
Could finally get a ban.
Yeah,
I don't think he's aiming for it.
We're not aiming for it, but he is just 2 points away, 2 penalties away from getting that ban. But, Aston Martin, they've got 3 drivers for a reason. John Evans steps aside, and Manuel Biancalila. And boy, oh boy, does he need a result. A 16th and a 60th at Bahrain and at Imola for him, and retired at Silverstone. But yeah, as the driver lineups change again, I'm looking towards the back there, but there's more speculation up here. Freddie Rasmussen's driving. Should have that?
Is that wrong? Is that what you're going to ask? It's not, because he's got a 10-place grid penalty, but some people may think that Liam Parnell should be there. But look, the stewards have made their decision. Benham alongside Opmeer. As we know, Danny Moreno not racing in this event. McLaren Shadow have not changed their lineup. No surprise. They are very clear in the Teams Championship. Ronhaar and Steward alongside each other there as well. What took your eye on those two?
I think having Bianca back, obviously he's very close to a race ban. Maybe that's why we haven't seen him.
That's the storyline we're going with.
Maybe
Rasmussen's got the same amount of points as him
exactly.
now.
So they've seen that and be like, oh, actually we can race. So they put him in the car, and who knows? Maybe he's only been practicing USA, and he's going to come out and win because he just put all that effort into it.
Donoso's back. The Fab Donoso is back. His best finish is 9th at Silverstone. He comes into the fold. Shout out to Jake Benham. We haven't mentioned him so far yet. The Mercedes driver picking up 4 points. He got an 8th place finish in Mexico. He gets another run out, as we know, because no Danny Moreno. Shanaka Clay picked up a point as well. Alvaro Carreton is back. That is what I like to see for Williams. Daniele Haddad and his pit strategy out, unfortunately. That cannot happen again.
Absolutely. So we've got some images to show you. That's Bianca
The
Lila.
Italian god that he
Bianca
is.
Lila going for the weight-saving approach. I'm not sure he knows that he's got a webcam on his monitor, but either or.
Good job the webcam has gone, because I don't know if you know, but Manuel Biancalida actually it is a full naked, that's how he races.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very
and that's why he's
streamlined.
going to get a penalty today.
Very streamlined. Maybe he doesn't think he's racing. But anyway, we can now bring you someone that's all the way over at the Mercedes HQ, and it is Maxime MXM, who, of course, was here yesterday.
Yep.
Is it cold over there, Maxime?
It is cold over here, but we are here at Mercedes, and it's incredible to see everything and all the buildings. You have one behind me here, so good to be here.
Yeah, what can you tell us? Of course, I'm sure you've spoken to Jarno and the rest of the team there. I'm sure there's probably some good vibes, good atmosphere after yesterday.
Yeah, Jarno is happy. We did an interview with him, so probably you guys will see that in a bit. Also with Jake, so he had to get used to everything a bit more. He was under pressure, and but now he's feeling more confident. So that's good, and it's great to see everybody and see the amazing car as well here at the reception.
Give us a snippet, Maxime, of the Jarno chat. Well, what can you tell us? What did you learn?
What did I learn? That he is back. He likes COTA. So hopefully he can get another win here. And yeah, hopefully he's looking forward to the rest of the season to just make a good comeback.
Amazing stuff. Looking very good indeed. Did we find out any secrets? What have they worked out? Why is Opmeer back? Have you had those answers?
I'm not sure if I can speak about that, but no, they're back, and they are they are back in form. Of course, there was not a lot of time to prepare for this event because the last event was only like 3 weeks ago. So they're also looking ahead to event 4, getting even more prepared for that, and hopefully get more wins.
Amazing stuff. Well, I can see a building behind you, so go run in there and warm yourself up, Maxime. We'll check in with you a little bit later on. And yeah, good stuff. Look at that. We've got people everywhere at the moment. You know, we had Steph over.
Haven't we just? Have we ever been allowed to go outside of the Gfinity Arena? Not that I'm saying I don't like it. I love it.
We did go to Abu Dhabi in 2017. That was good.
That was the last time.
No, you went to see Lucas Blakely that time, didn't you?
We start a Patreon whether we can go.
Look, you're on this sofa. You should be happy about that.
well.
You're not on the desk of shame, OK?
Yeah, that is true. That's because Alex Jakes isn't here yet, and when he arrives, I'll probably be moved.
No, he's definitely not here. No, he's definitely not up there right now. Q1's begun, and you'll be pleased to see that Patrick Sheepos is out there on intermediate tyres.
He's back. Sheepos, after a good outing, great qualifying in Monza, but race result didn't go his way. I think he finished 9th in the end. But yeah, back for Alpine and knows what he has to do if they want to move up the team championship.
Certainly. We've got a couple of drivers out there. Staukelet going out there as well. Great to see Danny Berezne back in the cockpit for Alfa Romeo too, after hearing from him yesterday about, why do they go out on intermediates? Well, it's just about what we kind of guessed, which is making sure everything's working. And surprisingly, the intermediates are only about 3-4 seconds slower than the dries, which is quite the achievement. It's probably quicker than what a lot of us could do on dry tyres for the intermediates.
Probably, yeah, especially my pace around here in all fairness. But it would be funny, wouldn't it, to see, you know, validations come in and somebody managing to get through into Q2 on intermediate tyres in the dry.
This could be the big brain strats that we didn't know about. David Tanitzer's loved an intermediate time at the start of a session. He's not racing, though, today. Had a pretty poor Event 3, it has to be said. Well, actually, his first race was decent in Event 3, but definitely something to forget in Mexico. He was out of the race after about 3 laps, I think, was Tanitzer. Staukalek, you can see him there. He's, how much is he going to be thinking about Zandvoort and what could have been?
Definitely, he's going to you know, play on his mind throughout the season or towards the later stages at the end of the season. But for now, obviously, he's just going to focus on what the task ahead of him and trying to put the best job. They have struggled, the other 2 Haas drivers, compared to what Ronhaar's been able to do, but I mean, Haas are just going to be very happy with the points that they have got so far in this championship.
The best ever result for Lucas Blakely, someone who needs to get back on the podium, you would say, if you're back in Blakely. His best ever finish at COTA is 6th place. He qualified in 8th position, moved up 2 places on the grid. So he's going to have to even better that again today.
He certainly is. Blakely can't be hoping for another 4 races of chaos because it was quite fortunate for him that everything kicked off the way it did and he was able to keep that championship lead because it was looking like Rasmussen was going to be taking the championship lead away from him through a lot of the race in Mexico yesterday, but instead can just reset. Of course, yesterday we saw in the quali show Blakely almost get knocked out at the end of Q2, wasn't that right?
Yeah, he ran it very close there. I think his qualifying in this event hasn't been his strong suit. His race pace has been great. His starts have been incredible. He's gained so many positions off the starts. Maybe the wrong strategy, or at least putting yourself on the back foot at the latter stage of the races, as he's usually kind of like tumbled down the field a little bit at the end. But he needs to work on his qualifying here in COTA, try and get in that top 5. If you're in that top 5, you're in a much better position than if you're qualifying down in 8th, because in 8th it just gets so congested in there and you're risking everything.
Now, you'd be pleased to see that there's a soft tyre runner, which means I'm going to press this button and we're going to go full screen. You ready? Boom. Oh my goodness me. Look at the technology we have here. Invisible buttons. But Danny Beresney's certainly not invisible. He's out there on track right now in the Alfa Romeo. And he'll be looking for another strong qualifying. 8th, of course, around Monza a couple of days ago, which he promoted then to 4th in the race. And it was an amazing bit of teamwork between himself and Nicolas Longuet. He's going to have to do that again today. It's not easy to replicate a worldie, is it?
No, definitely not. I think for him, if he can get into Q3, it's again another positive result. You don't want to just be like, OK, we got a P4 in Monza, now we can go get a race win. He needs to build upon that and just stay consistent to help out Alfa Romeo. So the focus for him, Q3, anything from there is going to be a bonus. And if they've got both of their drivers into Q3, Nicolas Longuet is looking quick once again, then who knows where they can be.
So running aboard with Danny Beresney, always great to see a car like that going absolutely full throttle almost through those S's. And now into this very tricky couple of corners. Car just wants to step out under traction, then it's down the hill towards the hairpin. Slam on the brakes at around 70 metres. Get it turned in. In real life, the drivers don't tend to hit the apex as much as what the F1 Esports drivers do. But Danny Beresney looking pretty tidy. He's a tenth slower than what Longuet's managed in that first sector at the moment. Longuet, of course, his teammate out there just behind. Takes a lot of curb on the inside there, does Beresney. Still currently a valid lap, despite skirting the edges of danger of those track limits. Now into this double left-hander. This is a brilliant part for racing. You wouldn't think of it when you look at it on paper, that it would provide such great racing, but it allows for drivers to send one up the inside, or perhaps the driver defends to the inside and then the attacking driver tries to go around the outside. It's a brilliant corner. And, OK, Beresney has decided...
Yeah, invalidated.
So he invalidated on the exit there, slammed on the brakes and went into the pits to not waste any time. Nicolas Longuet is going to be our first time on the board. It's in the 1 minute 32.203.
Still a lot of time to find in this qualifying session, especially as they were doing 31.3 in practice, or at least Ronhaar was doing it in the practice session.
An invalidated 30.
An invalidated 30, but then we were seeing 31.4.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we should be, the track evolution, of course, we're going to get there in Q3. I think in this Q1 session, if you're getting into those low 32s, high 31s, you're safe, you're sorted. Daniele Haddad, though, massively off the pace, and must have been a mistake through there.
We're talking about Mexico, or? Oh no, here. Oh, Haddad. I'd love to understand why he went wheel-to-wheel racing with everyone on really old hard tyres.
Just prove a point. I've still got it.
What point did he prove?
Strategy-wise, maybe not a lot, but in terms of
action.
Yeah, in terms of actual action on the track, hey, very entertaining. That's what he does. Alvaro Carreton, his teammate at Williams, said it loves this track. Obviously hoping to make the car as streamlined as possible for the long back straight, giving great overtaking opportunities in the actual race. Tyre wear is also high, so alternate strategies across the grid will make it very interesting indeed. That's what he reckons for tonight.
Ooh, tee that up for tonight, 7:30 p.m. Come and join us then. We've got some qualifying to do in the meantime. Patrick Schipos did go a bit deep into the hairpin just before that long straight, and he's lost 1/10 of a second to the fastest middle sector we've seen so far. He's around 700 slower in the first sector as well, but Schipos looking at like around the Weigang territory at the moment, although he has invalidated his lap time. We're going to see a lot of these, aren't we? Smith out there has also invalidated his lap time, and that's not an ideal start for Alpine.
No, we saw it yesterday in qualifying. Presneda going out early in Q1 as well because of invalidations. It's so easy to do around here. When you've got tracks which you have grass and gravel right up next to the track limits, you can't get away with it because you can't exceed. Whereas here there's a lot of runoff area, and you want to put it on that white line because that's where you're gaining the time on track. So just go a few little millimeters, a little bit too far, and you don't get that lap time, and you're really risking getting out in Q1.
Danny Bresnay goes back out on track for another attempt at getting a lap time on the board. Doesn't want to be using too many soft tyres if he wants to have his goals set for Q3. Remember, they don't have an unlimited amount of tyres to use in these sessions, and Nicholas Longate made the most of that in Monza, where he managed to get through Q1, Q2 with one set of soft tyres, which allowed him 3 attempts in Q3. 2 of those was a 0.3, I think, in the end, which would have been good enough for pole both times. So can Longate replicate that form once again here this afternoon? Danny Bresnay, as we're seeing on an out lap at the moment. A lot of drivers preparing their tyres. How important, Hayden, is this out lap in terms of tyre preparation and getting ready to send it?
Well, you need to get the tyres up to a perfect temperature, and it's around the 85 degrees Celsius on the game. If you are starting a lap with them too cold, you're going to struggle to get the turn with a car, but too hot, and the car is going to snap away from you as they overheat. And this can all be controlled quite a bit as well by the tyre pressures you're running in the setup. Running high tyre pressures, and you're just going to allow those tyres to overheat a lot quicker, and you're going to be in big trouble.
Danny Bresnay through the S's he goes. Oh, brilliant camera angle that to see the direction change. Let's see what the first sector is saying for Danny Bresnay. It's a 25.138. I think that is not too bad through that first sector. And he's now focusing. This corner's so important. You have to be getting on the power as smoothly as you can because it's such a long run. Get any kind of slide, any kind of wheel spin, and you get the pain all the way down this straight.
Yeah, you certainly do. It's looking good, though, so far for Danny Bresnay, but we've just had Jarno Opmeer looking like he's set the fastest Sector 1 so far. Still riding on board with Danny Bresnay, though. He's just gone purple in the second sector as well as you get into this twisty section before getting on the flat-out long right-hander, which is always so great to see a Formula 1 car take that flat out. Takes much curb on the inside, but don't invalidate. He hasn't done so, and this is where he invalidated his lap last time around. Don't get out too wide. He's right on the limit on that white line. cut this curb as much as you can get away with, back on the power, use a little bit of the sausage curb on the right, and it's P2, and matching his teammates, would be very happy with that.
Decent lap time from Berezne. A lot of purple sectors going on out there. Ronhaar's done the fastest first sector so far. Tormola's gone fastest in the middle. And let's have a look. He goes second fastest. 0.02 of a second slower than Longay. Jarno Opmeer now over the line. Goes P4 with a 32.253. But Donoso getting a bit squirrely on the exit. And that's actually going to invalidate his lap time. Sebastian Job is slow out there, and that was not a representative lap time. What about Brendan Lee? Round the final corner for the Ferrari driver, driving towards the line now. It's going to be third fastest, and I think that this qualifying session is going to be very close indeed. Marcel Kiefer joins the 0.2 club. There's 6 of them in there already. Does Freddie Rasmussen join them? He's set a very fast first sector, has Freddie. Round the final corner, remember, he's holding that 10-place grid penalty, and he's going to go fastest at the moment in Q1. Alvaro Carreton has gone second. Forget that, Barry Buremund in the McLaren shadow now goes P2. Thomas Ronhaar, can he mount a championship challenge? Well, he's going to have to get a validated lap first, because that was very quick, and it would have been the fastest time, but he did not keep it within the white lines. Daniele Haddad, 13th fastest for him, as we see Patrick Schipos put himself into 4th position in the Alpine. And all of a sudden, with how long to go? Not that long, 4 minutes 52 to go. Opmeer under pressure in 11th. Benham, his teammate, 13th under a bit of pressure as well. And Donoso in the Ferrari down in 19th, of course, with no lap time set. Ronhaar as well. There's lots to go in this last 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, Ronhaar doing what he did in Belgium, where he just goes for one-shot qualies at the end. I think a lot of them are going to have to go again. Rasmussen, I think he's safe. He can stay back in the pit lane, keep his tyres fresh for later on. Buremund as well, Carreton, Schipos looking really good on the 0.1s, as is Blakely. I think those guys can maybe relax a little bit, but all the guys in the 0.2s, it's very, very close there.
Yeah, top 5 usually is the kind of mark, especially with them being 700ths quicker than Longay in 6th. Could probably be safe, you'd say.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, for Lucas, Schipos, and also Carreton, and even Buremund, they're still all quite close together, with Freddie Rasmussen getting into the 0.0s. Only takes the track evolution to be so high that everybody gets up there, and we nearly saw it yesterday with the 2 McLarens thinking they were safe and being right on the cusp.
Sebastian Job, a 44.9. We're seeing him. That's way off.
Yeah, he's clearly made a mistake.
But he's got a lap time which won't put him through to Q2. However, I think
I could beat that.
Oh, that is something I would like to see.
I'd like to say 12 seconds. I'd probably be within the F1 Esports drivers. But surprisingly, I don't know why Job's gone and finished the lap. I wonder if he maybe made that mistake towards the end and didn't come into the pits. But yeah, I don't know, strange. But either or, he's in the pits now, and we'll have to go for another attempt. Simon Weigang very much out of sync with the rest of the field here in the Aston Martin. How is his sectors stacking up? He's about a couple of tenths off the fastest. Where's Weigang going to go? He's going to go 6th fastest, actually. A very good last sector.
Well, if going by what Hayden said, that's enough. He's fine. He's sorted himself out. Joni Tormola for AlphaTauri finished 11th last year, 2021. Then he finished 10th in 2019, and then he thought 2018 I'd finish 10th as well. So he has got previous in terms of picking up some points at this circuit. So maybe that's why they've kept him. But Sebastian Job, he had a 6th place finish in Bahrain, 4th in Silverstone, Spa 5th, Zandvoort 6th. Monza's his worst finish with 17th, but he's there or thereabouts, and he's been very impressive, and hopefully he can get a faster time.
Yeah, Job's been brilliant, hasn't he? He's been turning up every single time, apart from Monza, and scoring a solid amount of points for AlphaTauri. I know we question, the lineup, why is Ido not racing every time? But you've got Sebastian Job very quietly just picking up a hefty amount of points. They've
all been really strong in all fairness. I think maybe Joni Tomlin's been on the weaker side of the 3, but they've all been scoring points for the team. But yeah, definitely Josh Ido and Sebastian Job have been the ones getting the majority of the points. But I think it's been fairly even between the 2 of them. It's just more recently we've seen Josh Ido getting those back-to-back podiums.
It's the podiums, isn't it? It's the silverware. You just stand out a bit more, don't you?
Yeah.
So 1 minute 29 to go. in Q1, and it is about to kick off. So let's go full screen with Marcel Kiefer and see whether he can put himself a bit safer than 10th at the moment, but he's a bit safer than Jarno Opmeer in 12th, Benham in 14th. And of course, Donoso and Ronhaar with no lap times on the board at the moment.
His highest ever finish at COTA for Marcel Kiefer is 7th. That was back in 2018. So for Red Bull, mounting that charge on McLaren in the team championship, they were going to have to require a personal best today as we're on board with Marcel Kiefer at the moment. But it's good to see Alvaro Carreton. Any Williams fans out there, great to see him making it into Q2 and giving his team the best chance possible.
So here is Kiefer, missed the apex slightly into turn 1, but you get away with it as long as the exit is good, and then through the S's we go. Looks very neat and tidy at the moment, and he's half a tenth up on what he managed with that 32.228 a little bit earlier on in the session. Aggressive on the throttle through there. As we now come to the all-important hairpin here. Can he feed it in? It does indeed, very nicely from Marcel Kiefer. Nicolas Longuet's out there doing the fastest first sector of anybody so far. Kiefer only 400 slower than that. So he's well on his way to a good lap, and we'll find out how his middle sector is after this corner. Hard on the brakes once again, can use a lot of that inside curb. And Danny Beresne's gone fastest of anybody. Welcome Danny Beresne to the F1 Esports Series. We'd love to see that in Q1. Can he replicate that for the next 2 sessions? We will have to wait and see. But Marcel Kiefer, middle sector, about a tenth and a half off the fastest we've seen. But we've seen there's a slight variation in setup. Some drivers going quite a lot quicker through this last sector, Simon Weigang being one of them. Here comes Marcel Kiefer. Oh, a bit of a correction around the final corner, and it's going to be 7th fastest for Kiefer. That should see him through to Q2. Sebastian Job, yet to see a lap time from him, goes up to P4. 32.130. Now, Manuel Biancalila has to make it out of Q1, really, for his own sake. He's wrestling the car at 16th. It's not going to be good enough, as Nicolas Longuet is the first driver to get into the 31, so it's 31.8. That is a ridiculous lap time from Longuet. Thomas Ronhaar goes 3rd fastest. Jarno Opmeer makes it out of Q1. And we've got Benham under pressure out there, but he is still on a lap, I believe, and he's gone 13th fastest, Jake Benham. What about Fabrizio Donoso? Goes to 3rd. That's Brendan Lee now on the cusp, and Brendan Lee manages to get to 5th position. So that means Joni Tormala is not going to make it out of Q1. Neither is Daniele Haddad. Luke Smith, is he out there still? He is. He improves to 17th, but it's not enough. And unfortunately for Tormala, Smith, Haddad, Biancalila and Staukalek, as we can see here spinning over the line, no more qualifying for them in event 3.
No, I was quite surprised by Staukalek doing celebratory donuts for being P20. So I hope we can get some insight.
Someone told him it's not reverse grid?
Maybe we need to let
It's
him
not a
know
sprint race. Yeah, Manuel Biancalila, it would have been a dream comeback for him and prove anybody wrong who doubted him. But Joni Tormala, disappointing for him. And then again, you look at that and you say, oh, would one of the other drivers, Josh Ido, maybe made it into Q2? And that's something to reflect on at the end of the season, not now.
It's a safe bet to think that Josh Ido would have made it through, I think. He's been showing some amazing form, been fighting right at the very front. Do AlphaTauri maybe need to stop playing so nicey nice with all 3 drivers and realise where the talent maybe truly lies within the team?
I mean, if they want big points for AlphaTauri and want to take home some money for them as well, then definitely they need to potentially look at that. But for Josh Ido, it's not necessarily a bad thing for your teammate to jump in and do a worse job than you, because then you have this power over him. You can be like, well, look at my lap times that I've set, you know. So for him, he's going to be watching on the sides, thinking obviously that he could have done a better job. We don't know that because obviously they're both not in the car. But some interesting things to come out of that qualifying session. Obviously, Longuet on top again. We always see that. But Beresne up there. Alfa Romeo 1-2.
I know. And Steph's not even there, I don't think. So that's
She's
pretty
not
good
the
going.
reason. She will despise the fact that she is not the reason.
And so will Luke Smith despise his Q1 performance. 17th fastest for him. Joni Tormala, Daniele Haddad, Manuel Biancalila and Staukalek are the 5 drivers that will not progress in qualifying. Now, we've got another guest to bring out. It is, of course, the one, the only, the award-winning Alex Jakes! Here we go. Whoa, nearly went behind the cameraman. He panicked there.
Didn't we all? Didn't we all? Ooh, iPad. Sat on that.
This is beautiful.
What's
Great to-
this?
I like this. You
Right.
sort of matched it perfectly for the... That's why I've moved across.
Yeah.
'Cause
It's very warm, this. Are you okay?
Yeah, it's really warm.
We need to get this man medical tested immediately. This is scorching. Hello, chaps.
Hello.
What a terrific week this has been.
Oh, it's been off the rails, has
It
it not?
has.
But great to have you on Q2. Glad to see we could work some contractual things out for you to turn up and do some talking.
Yeah. I thought I hadn't done enough, so...
No,
Yeah.
you haven't. But welcome.
Yeah.
It's great to have you. What did you make of...
enjoyed your opinions earlier.
Yeah?
Pretty spicy.
Yeah? Well, this is
Calling
the
it
Polly
out.
show.
Very much enjoyed this man trying not to give one.
Yeah.
Oh, it was terrific.
We'll get
eh?
one eventually.
That's why he's got all these years in the biz.
Yeah.
Plays a straight bat.
Oh, yeah. This is a long innings. This is a test match. It's not T20
Dig in for
today.
5 days. eh?
Let's move away from cricket and on to Q2, shall we?
Just went and saw the stewards. Genuinely, back there is where the stewards are, behind the X Factor part of the stage, and looking pretty tired. Pretty late night, I think they had. So
Yeah, I'm surprised. What were they doing? What
yeah.
were they up to last night?
I can't remember. I loved it. It's genuinely been one of the great weeks of F1 Esports. This all the
Are you
drama.
also going to straight bat an opinion on what happened yesterday?
I guess the point is they effectively have given him a race ban. With the amount of time that he's got those points hanging over him, and the fact that you get 2 points for a 3-second penalty sometimes, I don't see how that's... He's going to get banned for a race at some point within the time window, I think. So effectively, they've pushed him right to the edge of the plank, and then they're going to go, well, it's your fault, you went over.
Well, he's at the edge of the plank and also has a 10-place grid penalty for
Yeah.
today. So,
Yeah.
fair, lenient? What do you think?
I think he's lucky not to be starting at the back. I think he's lucky to be starting at all.
Alex Jakes with an opinion. Get
You
in.
did it. It took 3
Oh, you
years.
did it.
But you know what? I like the fact that we went from alien to human yesterday. We had some ragged moments. You got to remember, they put hours and hours and hours in. But even though they're inch perfect, even though they're millimetre perfect, even though we get grids that line up with, separated by thousandths of a second, like we had here the last time we had a qualifying session, it is still a human being behind the steering wheel, and that's still an element that makes it absolutely phenomenal. So the racing might not be real, but the emotions are, and it was unmissable yesterday.
It's amazing how emotion can make you forget what the racing line looks like. But we move back to COTA now. And as you can see, some used soft tyre runs at the moment. Blakely fastest with a 32.6. As Ronhaar has a 32.8, but it's invalidated.
Who's your favourite driver of all time, Matt?
Wow.
No, I'm just wondering.
Esports or...
No, in real life.
Michael Schumacher.
Any spice from him in his career?
No, he was actually straight and narrow.
Yeah, talk about 1997, 2 days in a row. That's for everyone watching who's over the age of 25.
Yeah, so don't know how many that is.
All 6 of you.
Yep.
Probably my parents, your dad.
Yeah, my dad,
anyway,
definitely
right.
watching.
We'll
Hi,
get
Dad.
back on topic.
Hi,
We're
Alex's
fine.
parents.
Yeah.
You're doing well.
No way my mum's bothering with this. Probably just for dad.
So when you ask that question, you're saying, it always comes with a little bit of spice. Every great.
I'm just saying, some of the greatest drivers of all time in the real thing occasionally overstep the mark.
Very true. Very, very true.
Just saying. Also had an opinion that he shouldn't be on the grid today, so all sorts going on. All sorts going on.
Only on the quali show do we get
We'll
this,
tighten
these kind of
we'll tighten this up for the race. Mainly because I'll get a block caps email. But we will tighten it up.
in the race. You'd be like, I could not possibly comment.
Yeah,
I am the lead commentator.
I wasn't here yesterday. Who was broadcasting?
It was a voice change.
There's a lot of narrative about today, isn't there, for Lucas Blakely? He can't afford all 3 races of the event to be...
Meh.
Yeah, that's exactly the technical word for that.
Yeah.
Meh. Well, it is.
Get
He's
that
still,
on the soundboard.
he's still doing very well, but not as well as he would like to. So I guess that storyline today is, can he get back on the podium?
Yeah.
And who else is going to be pushing him for that podium place is Barry Borman, his teammate, because he's just been phenomenal.
Well, I think when we looked at the Drivers' Championship, he can't have 4 more mediocre races because he's not going to be champion. Yes, he's going to be probably laughing to the bank in the Teams' Championships. Of course, that's where the $750,000 is decided, dollars. But you also want to be the F1 Esports World Champion.
I thought we were just naming currency.
Oh, you are. Yeah, you're going to have to watch you. That shirt's got you absolutely hilarious, isn't it?
Good.
We love it. But yes, I think that, you know, is Blakely going to get a bit worried, a little bit shaky? I think so. I think that the nerves are definitely going to sink in. Is that when the likes of Jarno Opmeer, who is the only driver fighting in the top 5, who's actually won a World Championship, is that when he starts to enter the equation? 39 points behind. As we've said, he wins all 4 as well. You're probably calling him world champion as well.
Well, he knows how to handle the pressure. Lucas Blakely doesn't. He's not been in that. He's been in a position where he's been able to fight, but he kind of dropped away last time as well. And we don't want to see that. Obviously, Jarno's been there. He's fought for it before. We've also got a lot of other drivers in the mix. Obviously, we can see so quickly how momentum can change. Blakely looked so strong at the start of the season, but now it looks like it's favouring Barry in the McLaren side. He's had some really great races this event. Jarno, you know, goes on to win the last 4 races now. And he's in it. He's definitely in it. So, yeah, it can just change so quickly.
All of the drivers anywhere near Freddie are going to be shaking a little bit. Would they not?
Well, look, what I'm looking forward to is probably not in this race.
Don't make him angry, is all we've learned from this.
Obviously, with Freddie having a 10-place grid penalty, we're probably not going to see a Ronhaar Rasmussen wheel-to-wheel. But when they next go wheel-to-wheel, I'm very intrigued to see how that
Yes, please, event 4. You've set it up beautifully, Matt.
Yeah. Maybe I should have said, you should have said that at the end of the half-7 show. That's how we tee it up for the finale. But Danny Beresney is on a flying lap at the moment. 7 minutes 14 to go.
Like that angle.
He's rejuvenated.
Very nice shot, isn't it?
He's rejuvenated, is Danny Beresney.
He
just took Steph Wentworth coming down. 1 Chinese, which, can we all talk about that? That's his 2nd time he's eaten Chinese in his life. And he's fired him on for today.
Probably the first time he's hugged Steph. So it's just all these things have equated
it clicks.
to Danny Beresney being back. And how is his first sector looking? About a 10th slower than what Job managed, a little bit further behind. It's great to see Danny Beresney. He's such a character in interviews. Will we be interviewing him later for Aramco Driver of the Day? We'll have to wait and see. But Danny Beresney through the middle sector now. And a bit quicker than Job through the middle. Caraton's gone fastest of anybody through the first. And, yeah, we're starting to see some fresh softs take to the track.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, things are looking really good right now for Danny Beresney to try and get back up to where he was. And I think maybe it was the Chinese that spurred him on, because back when I used to have to look after him in the early days of F1 Esports, it was burger for breakfast, burger for lunch, burger for dinner, and he was winning races. So
Burger for breakfast?
Burger for breakfast. If you can believe it, it was a burger for breakfast. And look at that, up to P2. So if you want to put Danny Beresney on top,
What are we talking? Are we talking fast food?
Big time.
Okay.
Big time. Stuff that's clogging your arteries.
Not the chunky stuff that's delivered to your door. Wow, because I'm impressed with that.
Just
Burger
returning, returning to Beresney's lap time.
Go on,
just trying to stop the burger chat for a second. Beresney's lap is actually quite poor, to be honest with you. A 32.3 is not going to get him through
Everyone
to
can see the
Q3,
times,
especially if that's a soft. Yeah, but, you know, we were hyping him up. Oh, look at him, he's 2nd. Well, actually, that 32.3, not good enough. What is good enough is Caraton dipping into the 1 minute 31s. God forbid I try and keep this quality show. On the straight and narrow, Freddie Rasmussen, 31.7. That's the fastest time we have seen. Jarno Opmeer slots in a 10th behind.
For Beresney, I think he was on a 2nd set of used tyres, because I think if we remember back to Q1, I think he went for 3 runs because he bailed out the first one, and I think he went for 3 runs in that one. So I don't think he has as much tyres to himself as the other drivers do. So when we get to the end of this Q2 session, we should see a more representative lap time.
I'm liking that top 2.
With no penalties applied, obviously.
Hashtag narrative.
Was that them close together?
Oh, hello, careful.
Plenty of room that time.
Oh, dearie me. That's very close at the top between Rasmussen and Ronhaar.
Can we just mention the fact that Thomas Ronhaar, if looking at his social media, I think he's a young, very young driver. It's his first season in the F1 Pro Championship. I think he's conducted himself very well. We don't know what goes on, what he said behind the scenes, but from what he could have said, and we've seen some seasoned pros go to Twitter very quickly, I think he's conducted himself in a very professional manner.
And what he could have done on track as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you've been properly in the zone, trying to close down P2, and you see a Red Bull spearing across the track and into your side pod, and almost into the wall. You could easily have seen red and just stuck one back up the inside into turn 6 and said, well, there you go, fair's fair. But he didn't. And he tried to maximise the points that were available after that incident.
And I think all credit to Thomas Ronhaar, and no wonder people are really taking to him, because it's sort of the David Goliath narrative between the two, and he stepped up and gone, no, I'm really upsetting the sort of the apple cart that we've seen for the last couple of seasons, and no one likes that if you're already on the grid going, who's this upstart? But yeah, all credit to Thomas. I don't think we've said that so far.
Absolutely. His tweet was...
You saw
we
what
knew
happened.
what he meant. Yeah, you saw what happened. Could have said a lot worse. Didn't. We would have accepted anything, probably, that he would have said on Twitter.
Not anything.
Most things. You are in a very naughty mood.
Honestly, it's
Only Q2.
It's Q2.
Can we get Alex back just for Q3 next time? Thank you. Right, Alex, why don't you do... Oh, they're all in the pits, not yet.
I mean, where have you been? We're only Q3.
I never know what...
You're not consistent.
1997 anymore. Hey?
Oh, they're all in the pits. Alex, what facts have you got about COTA?
Just beyond the Austin city limits. It's always useful when it's a recent race.
I was going to say.
Yeah, just beyond the city limits. It's basically the last real purpose-built 30 minutes out of town circuit that Formula One has. If you think of the new venues, they're all street circuits. So this is the last great attempt to create a circuit from scratch.
And how good is Austin, though?
And true story, due to a variety of different reasons, I've never been. So that bit at the start of the race where I'm like, welcome to Austin. I've never actually been on site there. So that's an exclusive insight you only get if you watch the quali show. So, there you go. I can't sit here with our wonderful viewers and esteemed company and tell you, yeah, the music scene, phenomenal.
Oh, the barbecue.
It's fantastic. No, that is... I've, due to a variety of different boring reasons, never made it on site to Austin. Next year...
Well done, Tom.
I shall
bring that one up,
report
you can see the pain in his eyes.
Yeah.
I see the pain, but I also understand that he's shared with us, and we'll comfort
We'll
and make
get
it feel
through
better in
together.
any way we can.
We'll get through
You're going to go
together.
next year?
Yeah, I am.
There you go.
So
Yeah. Okay. Crisis averted.
Yes.
1 minute 23 to go, and we've got a lot of laps coming here, Alex Jakes. So sit up.
Sit up, do some
And
work,
let's go.
Sid Gallagher. Offer something, please. OK, Nicholas Longuet. He's got form around here. He's got a pole around here by the barest of all margins. Last time we had a crucial qualifying session. This just to get into the final part of the qualifying hour. Our spiciest ever qualifying hour. Reigning opinion. But the conditions on track, bone dry. Every single sentence is an adventure at the moment. Turn 1's an adventure as well. You've got that wide line, you pinch into the apex. Nicholas Longuet looking for a bit of form, looking to try and do what he's done earlier in the event and carry it on. Here's the bit that they stole from Silverstone. This bit was stolen from Maggots. This bit was stolen from Beckett's. And then they came up with some new corners at this stage as we go uphill and you're scrubbing off speed all the time. Careful at this point, because this is where it can all come undone. And there is the exact moment that he's fighting the car. Little bit of a correction, losing him time as he sends it down to the hairpin now.
Yeah, that would have cost him a bit of time, and look how close the margins are. Longuet under a bit of pressure now to perfect the rest of this lap. He'll know that would have cost him some time. It will be telling him on his delta. That middle sector is going to be very interesting to see how much time he lost. Patrick Sheepos is out there, currently 14th, but has done the... That's very, very... Wow, he's actually
That's
not invalidated. That was OK, but very marginal, I think. Longuet, 1.5 tenths up on what he's managed previously. So that'll get him into the 0.8s, and you'd have to say that's going to get him through to Q3. But Sheepos up there flying. Kiefer is the first driver we've seen into the 24s in the first sector. There's a lot of improvement out there. Danny Beresne has gone up to 4th fastest with that lap. Longuet goes a little bit wide round the penultimate corner. Is this going to be good enough? It's been scruffy from Longuet. Only a couple of seconds to find out, and it's P7.
He's lucky that's not been invalidated. That was so close. On the apex, I think turn 12. That was fine margins there. As is this, as they come to the Andretti corner, the final one on the racetrack, and Barry Borromond, the man with great form in the championship, showing it again. Second fastest is our championship leader, Rasmussen, Borromond, Ronhaar up front.
Longay's on the cusp now already. He's out. Longay's out.
Longay's gone. Lucas Blakely, crucial for him that he gets into the upper reaches, and he does so. Sebastian Job, Nicholas Longay, Simon Weigang, Brendan Lee, and then this man, Jake Benham, trying to get through, but it's only 14th place for him as he gets up to speed in the F1 Pro Championship for Esports.
Down to
Brendan Lee.
Opmeer's down to 10th. It's all down to Weigang here.
This is crucial. This is exactly like we had before. And Opmeer will stay in P10. That is fine margins once again. We're a circuit that produces them time and time again. But Opmeer doing his best Blakely impression from yesterday and just squeezing through.
Beresne did not, though. P11 for Danny, Jobs in 12th, Longay 13th, Weigang 14th, and Benham 15th. So Opmeer manages to escape that one just about. But let's talk about Donoso. P1 in Q2. Where's that come from?
Things looking good for Ferrari. Donoso up in P1. You've got Lee in P4. So things are looking very, very strong from, this event hasn't been the greatest for them. They've struggled to get points, and now both drivers into Q3 and up at the top end of Q2. So very happy.
And we spoke about Lee, he hasn't won in 4 years. All of a sudden,
Today's the day.
This is it.
That would be phenomenal if that happened after all that's happened in Event 3. They keep saying on Twitter, after every race, there's positives to take. Let's look at those. We've got the pace. It just didn't go the way that we want. Blah, blah, blah. Beginning to show it. Gets Q3, then they can start delivering.
Simon Weigang was a driver that didn't manage to make it through, and that was his reaction. Not happy at all with that particular lap time, the Aston Martin driver. He's kind of gone off the boil a little bit in these last few races, it has to be said. He was showing such promise, such potential, and you can see how much it means to him.
Yeah. Carrying Aston Martin, it's fair to say, all the points coming pretty much from him. And Event 1 and Event 2, very good, and it's sort of gone out the window for Event 3. But hey, I don't doubt him at all when it comes to Event 4. But yeah, just gone wayward a little bit.
Yeah, sad to see Weigang going through that mental toll, and it just shows how difficult it is to stay on a high in this F1 Esports series.
We were talking about it earlier, in the hours that are required. Just because you're outside of the top 10 doesn't mean you're not putting in the work time and time again. I saw a few tweets from him saying it's just not worked for him. He's trying things with the setup this event, and it's just not working for him. And I thought, not nice to see really, the anguish there, because he's trying different paths and none of them are working out. And when you've got the pace, he's had pace in previous years, and you can't unlock it, that's painful stuff.
It certainly is. Now let's turn our attention to more positive things. We've spoken about Ferrari, but also Alvaro Carreton in the Williams, once again showing some form. Can he turn it into points? Because that's what Williams need. They're only on 4 at the moment. The next place is 11, so they need to get a serious haul in these next 4 races if they want to avoid finishing last. Yeah,
very similar to Ferrari in the way that they talk about the pace and strategy hasn't quite worked out at times, and they know they're capable. A lot of money has gone into the infrastructure and everything they've got in their facility, so there's no reason why it hasn't worked. But he missed out in Q3, I think twice by a thousandth of a second. So actually, getting into Q3 is a real relief for Alvaro Carreton. Whatever technical issue meant he couldn't race yesterday in Mexico, so it's good to see. I think he was raring to go. He's got a point to prove today.
Certainly does. Alvaro Carreton looking to try and add to that Williams points tally. Of course, remember, Freddie Rasmussen through to Q3 needs to get as good a performance as he can in the locker if he wants to challenge for this championship. Of course, Red Bull very much out of this team's championship compared to McLaren Shadow's tally. They're not crowned champions yet, McLaren Shadow, but something terrible is going to happen to Burman and Blakely over these next 4 races if that's going to change. So if Freddie gets pole, starts 11th, maybe can get some points, because he's still in this hunt at the moment for the driver's title, which has eluded him forever. And it's something that he's never been able to finish on the top step of. But he's still been looking very, very fast. And it'd be interesting to see the likes of Rasmussen, probably saving a few tyres. Who else do you see, Hayden, that's got a few sets?
Rasmussen definitely saved some tyres from both the qualifying sessions, so he's going to have 3 runs on brand new sets of softs and can absolutely go for it. But good stuff from Red Bull, because they've also got Marcel Kiefer up there in Q3 as well, and we've spoke about it quite a lot over the series, where he has also been a driver that struggled, that we know can win races. So it's good for him to, you know, get over what has happened to him and start to get into Q3. And, you know, we saw it yesterday, he was fighting up at the front as well, nearly got a podium. So, yeah, fingers crossed for him that he can start to take over as Rasmussen drops down the field later on.
Yeah, it's been a good bounce back from Marcel Kiefer, has it not? You know, he's had a very difficult 2022 so far. I had a glimpse of hope in Imola, but then it went away again. And now, after Mexico, it was a strong points haul, and he's looking like he's going to be able to build on it tonight as well.
Sometimes it can be as simple as confidence. And he's got a teammate who is, before last night, the definition of consistency. But he does seem to have played himself back into a bit of form, and that's good to see, because he's proven. He's proven at this level. He's a proven race winner. And yeah, if you look at the last couple of races, he was unlucky with what happened, part of the track he found himself shuffled out of. When he was on the soft tyre at the start in Monza, and coming on really strong at the end. So potentially he's turned the page on his tough start to the season.
He did get a podium at Imola.
Yeah.
And you thought, oh, yeah, OK, it's just a blip the race before in Bahrain when he finished 13th, but then went back at Silverstone to 14th position. You're like, oh, something's not quite right here. But as you'll see with Danny Beresny, it doesn't take long to find a bit of form, and then you go into quali with a bit of confidence. Hopefully that will happen for him.
Certainly. Hopefully it'll also happen for Brendan Lee, as you can see in the bottom left-hand side of your screen. Into Q3 again, showing some better form. Can they stop being that nearly team? The one that, you know, you see him, oh, Brendan Lee, P5, P4. Can he get on the podium? And can he start to challenge those top places? That looked a little bit scruffy through that first sector. Brendan Lee, what's he managed? Yes, a 25.181, so it's just over a tenth slower than Caraton. And it's very clear to see that Rasmussen's using a fresh set of soft tyres, as he's into the 24s through that first sector and is absolutely flying.
Yeah, really strong so far from Freddie Rasmussen. We've also got Caraton in the 25.0s. Ronhaar 25.0 flat through the first sector, so he's looking good as well. Lee, obviously purple so far through sector 2, as he's the first driver to have got to that stage of the lap, but again, just looks really scrappy. He's really fighting with the wheel through the corners, and that is only going to lose you time as he gets now to the end of this lap.
I think Caraton's out there on a fresh set of softs as well, as he's matching Rasmussen to some degree, as Brendan Lee definitely out there on used softs, I would have to imagine. Around the final corner for the two-time champion, over the line he goes. It's a 32.2. Donoso, his teammate behind, topped Q2 and slots in P3. Marcel Kiefer in a Ferrari sandwich at the moment. Alvaro Caraton's very quick out there, and it's a 31.7. Lovely stuff, Alex Jakes.
And there is Freddie Rasmussen. Dip under that time. Alvaro Caraton. Strange thing to say about a driver, but he does have a pole position in him. He does have the ability to roar to the front row occasionally, as does this man, and he proves it once again. So much momentum. Jarno Opmeer, another driver, building as he goes through on trying to do the three-peat, trying to make it 3 in a row. And for last night, the chances of that basically 0, but he's got a nominal chance now. So Ronhaar Opmeer, Freddie Rasmussen, Alvaro Caraton the surprise, ahead of the 2 McLarens.
What a great lap from Opmeer. Once again showing he's found something. And look how quick he was in Sector 3 compared to Ronhaar there. Gained a lot of time, but then lost a lot of it in Sector 2, which would suggest a difference in car setup. So Ronhaar, Opmeer, Rasmussen. That would be quite the spicy front three if Rasmussen didn't have a penalty. But that would promote Caraton to P3 for tonight. But I'd imagine it's going to change even more so. Lucas Blakely, P6 at the moment for the McLaren Shadow driver, behind Barry Burramund. The rest of the drivers behind him clearly haven't gone on a new set of softs yet. They've got one bite at the cherry in this next 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Blakely can't be starting 10th here. And you have to think the likes of Lee, Kiefer, Donoso and Shipos all have a very good lap in them.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Lucas Blakely at 31.8, 2/10 more than 2/10 off the pace compared to Thomas Ronhaar. So a mistake must have happened through there, because surely he's not that far off the pace of the front guys. He needs to get up there. And of course, as you said, he cannot start P10 because one of his championship rivals has got such a huge penalty. So he needs to gain on what's happened to Freddie Rasmussen. Looking at other drivers out there, just Alvaro Carreton, really strong, obviously, you know, getting that extra set of soft tyres available to him. And that's great to see, to have a banker lap already set, to put yourself up into the top 5. It starts you off in a really good position.
Really big qualifying session this. You want to be ending event 3 with a bit of momentum, a good result in the locker before we then turn our attentions to the final event. Lucas Blakely being one of those that really needs to stop the, I was going to say stop the bleed, but he actually gained points yesterday, which is, you know, something that we did not expect to say after Freddie Rasmussen picked up that penalty and everything else that occurred.
I was enjoying Lucas Blakely on social media last night, looking almost stunned at what had happened in the race and trying to digest it whilst Lando Norris moved through his DJ set. And he's like, what just happened? What is happening? Like, the man was living in the year 3000 for a couple of minutes, I think.
Certainly was. There's Marcel Kiefer coming out for his final attempt, and his only attempt on a fresh set of soft tyres. Needs to get involved, needs to fly the flag for Red Bull, because Rasmussen will not be starting in the top 10.
Yeah, Red Bull going to want to see him put it, you know, right up the front, you know, hopefully try and match, because I think Freddie is going to be up there for sure at the end of this final run, but they want Marcel Kiefer to be up there so that when Rasmussen drops down, they kind of like flip places. So Kiefer can sort of take over that role that Rasmussen's been showing over the series so far. And he has got it in him. Like I said earlier, he got into P4 yesterday, was so close to that podium. Their fight with McLaren is kind of done for the constructors, but there is a three-way fight between Mercedes and Haas, and there is a Mercedes and a Haas currently 1 and 2, so you have to get in that mix with them.
Right, it's my favourite part of the show, this. This is when I sit back, turn up the volume and listen to the award-winning Alex Jakes do what he does best. And
both
that
award-winning, but for very different reasons.
Formula One
and one's definitely better well-received. What's your one? Just in case you were unsure.
What was yours, Tom? We've still got time. We're still on outlaps.
No, not at all. Interestingly enough, with the teams, Barry Borman and Lucas Blakely, the only team not to have subbed in the third driver, and neither of Red Bull. And just at the end of the season, I know we're just coming to the end of event 3, but that'll be something to look back on for this as a whole season, those teams and how they've been able to be consistent. McLaren with their 2 drivers that they haven't changed, and then Red Bull where it sort of slipped away, and when you really need that third driver to step in and shake things up, as we're seeing with Mercedes. It wasn't working for Danny, he goes away, coming back for event 4.
Yeah, the approach will be fascinating to see who responds, and I imagine Josh Eder is going to have a full-time drive next year. That's a bold prediction from me. There you go. Lucas Blakely then on the attack, and the driver who has been outstanding so far this year. He's a popular one out there because he is so impressive all of the time. He needs to deliver, and Kiefer's gone slightly faster in the first sector than he has done. It's fine for Blakely, it's in the ballpark, and crucially it's neat and tidy as he looks to try and recover some of the outstanding form that he had at the start of the year. We saw an incredibly dominant drive from him in Zandvoort, but now he's looking to take that step forward. It is fine margins across the board at the moment. Freddie Rasmussen with good pace, Kiefer with good pace in that first sector as well. It is going to be tight once again around the circuit of the Americas.
Lucas Blakely looking OK through the middle sector, but he was, again, a little bit scruffy as Lucas. Is he feeling the pressure of leading this title? He's got 4 races to try and hold on.
Looking at it, I think he has.
Blakely's invalidated, so is Shipos as well.
So he's incredibly vulnerable now. So he's finishing the lap, but he's incredibly vulnerable to drop down to the lower reaches. And Marcel Kiefer gets himself up to second place, gets himself up to the front row. Freddie Rasmussen knows he's going to take that drop. And he's going to take that 10th-place drop for yesterday's antics. Kiefer has gone over the line. Blakely invalidated. Sheeposh invalidated. Now Freddie Rasmussen trying to minimise the damage across the line with a best of P3. And he will drop down from there. Yeah, Alvaro Caraton sending it into 5th place. And now we look to Opmeer. Opmeer's invalidated and spins it away. Barry Borman, always a contender. There he is again, right at the end. Thomas Ronhaar takes it away, though. A fantastic couple of moments at the end. Barry Borman hit the front. Ronhaar had an advantage again. And the 2 form men in the championship believe the title could be theirs. Thomas Ronhaar on pole.
Ronhaar is relentless. You just thought, you saw the 0.4 from Burraman and you go, oh, no one's going to beat that. That's one of the Burraman laps. And then Ronhaar.
600th of a second, just bam. And there he goes.
And the one time Red Bull probably didn't want Kiefer to outqualify Rasmussen was today. And he did. Kiefer P3, great result for him as well.
If they were trying to manage it, it was so close. Only 0.004 of a second between the 2 Red Bull drivers. If it had gone the other way, it would have helped Rasmussen out massively for later's race. But Borman and Ronhaar, this championship's on. 1 and 2. Blakely down there in P8. Rasmussen's going to be dropping down as well. Opmeer invalidated on his last lap, but he is in P5, and we know the race pace from him.
Just to double check, because I haven't got one of these. Where is our prince, Brendan Lee? Where is the prince, the young prince?
He's 7th.
Oh, come on, Brendan.
Blakely's invalidation, looking at the time that he did put on the board, it was 31.7. So if, let's say it was really minor, it would have only improved him by 1 place there. So Brendan Lee is in 7th, but Lucas Blakely just struggling for form right now.
It's crazy to think that Lucas Blakely is coming under so much pressure after what we saw in event number 1. There he is, Lucas, as see a little bit upset with himself, I'd say. He's put a lot of pressure for tonight. P8 puts it's a dangerous territory to be into turn 1. And there's Ronhaar. There's his reaction. Once again, another pole position for the rookie. It's so weird to say that, isn't he? Like the rookie, and he is delivering at a level and a consistency that is deserving of a world championship. And there's Jarno Opmeer, who will start, as we say, P5 tonight, which gives him more than enough to work with. Yeah. And as you said, we've seen all kinds of strange strategies from Opmeer. We question it, is this the right thing? And, well, it worked yesterday where he went for the overcut. We thought, oh, this could put him under some pressure, which worked. He even jumped Rasmussen. So Opmeer from P5 can do a lot.
And Thomas Ronhaar knows in this race, Freddie Rasmussen is starting off in P13. So this is going to be a lovely race for Thomas Ronhaar. There's no one who might jeopardise him going on to win it from pole.
You've done it now, Tom.
What have I done? What have I done?
There are other drivers that could potentially crack
No, I'm just saying, if you're that guy right there in the screen that we are looking at right now, he's happy. He's like, look, yeah, Barry, we've had some good battles, but yeah, I feel confident.
I think you're forgetting that Ronhaar went off the track in Monza on the final lap when he was fighting Burraman. But either or, yes, I know exactly where you're hinting. Ronhaar on pole position ahead of Barry Burraman, and then it was a gargantuan gap to Marcel Kiefer of just over 1/10 of a second. Freddie Rasmussen, of course, carrying that 10th-place grid penalty, which will promote Opmeer to 4th, of course. We're talking about Opmeer in 5th. No, forget that. He'll be on the 2nd row of the grid. Alvaro Caraton, what a great result for him in the Williams Esports team. And let's move over to the 2nd page as Danny Beresnay tops that in 11th. Job Longue. He'll be looking at that as a missed opportunity, being out-qualified by Beresnay and also knocked out in Q2. Jake Benham's got a bit of work to do from 15th. We saw Simon Weigang and his emotion after Q2. Hopefully he'll be able to bounce back from 14th as his teammate there, Bianca Lee, let down in 19th. Plenty of work to do for these drivers on the 2nd page, as I believe we have Maxime somewhere. Maxime, are you here? Are you there?
Yes, hello.
There you are. Perfect stuff. I see you alongside Jake Benham. How's Jake feeling after that qualifying session?
Yeah, so we're here with Jake, of course. I don't think the qualifying that you wanted, but you already said like it's a difficult track, so tell us about it.
So yeah, going into that one is a bit more expected. The other two was a bit more of just a cracking under pressure, but that one I didn't quite have the pace to get through to Q3. But consistent P15s, but obviously it's not what we want. But points are definitely still on. all to play for in the race.
Yeah, exactly. Did you make an error, or was it like, of course, track limits are pretty tight. We saw some invalidated laps as well. So was it just like pushing to the limit and not getting it right?
Yeah, I mean, I had a few moments on my lap, but ultimately the pace just wasn't enough to get through to Q3 anyway. So yeah, it was probably near the max we could have got out of it.
Well, I'm sure you can get some positions in the race, hopefully get in the points and make it a good one.
Thank you.
Right, back to the studio.
Amazing stuff. Thank you, Maxime and Jake. And now we come back to the sofas. Alex Jakes,
Matt Gallagher.
what are we looking forward to tonight?
Could be anything. Fireworks, I would imagine. It really could be anything because those two on the front row have got previous from Monza. We've got Freddie Rasmussen trying to fight his way through the field. We've got Jarno Opmeer trying an audacious strategy we expect. And we've got Lucas Blakely in damage limitation mode, but he had a terrific getaway yesterday and then put himself in the mix. So lots to look forward to.
Tom, are you going to be going full Williams apparel for Caraton?
I have today, actually. It's a very subtle, sort of dark blue, dark jeans. I've gone for the Williams socks as well.
OK.
So, yeah, full send for Alvaro Caraton. Yes, please. Vamos.
Perfect. And Hayden, what's going to be your eye on?
Well, the top two up front, you know, they're going to be fighting to... They don't want to fight too hard because they know that they can both catch up in the championship with their rivals lower down. So focusing on the battle there and seeing if we are going to have this four-way fight that we are hyping up so much.
A lot of hype, a lot of fireworks, and we're looking forward to it. Here is the evening show information that you need. 7:30 p.m. Come and join Tom Deacon as we get ready for the race around Austin, the Circuit of the Americas. It promises to be an absolute thriller. Can Jarno Opmeer get in this championship fight? Will Lucas Blakely be able to fight back from a poor qualifying performance? We'll have to find out later this evening as they're all vibing to the music. And we'll see you this evening for the race around COTA. Bye-bye.